See applied behavior analysis in a different and refreshing light here at the Skinner Report. Hosted by Sara Litvak and Anna Bullard. They shed light on what ABA therapy organizations need to know to level up their behavioral health services, helping every individual with autism meet their maximum potential. Join information-filled episodes with leading industry experts as they discuss every issue and update in the ABA scene, giving you an idea of what you can do to become a quality ABA organization and support the building of inclusive and comfortable workplaces in this side of the healthcare world. Here are your hosts, Sara and Anna.
All right. Welcome back to the Skinner Report, everybody. I am so excited. Anna and I are here with BHCOE's very own Dr. Ellie Kazemi to talk about the 2022 Accreditation Standards launch. Welcome, Ellie. It's nice to have you back.
Hi, everyone. So good to be here and talk with you again today.
Yeah, thanks, Ellie. We've got a lot of exciting things happening at BHCOE and just excited to dive into a lot of the stuff you and your team have been working on with the 2022 standards.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And I just need to preface by apologizing that my voice is a little off. So I'm trying to make sure you all can hear me, but apologies in advance with a little raspiness. But yeah, Ellie, I mean, I don't want to brag, but this is kind of your baby. These new standards. And what's exciting about it is I feel like this is one of the first standard sets aside from the new training site that you launched recently that I really am I don't know, go ask Ellie.
Yes, I appreciate that. I've absolutely been spending a lot of my time with a beautiful, beautiful team of brilliant people. So I don't ever feel like it's my baby. It's really our baby. And, you and Anna are very, very helpful with the perspectives you offer. We've had a fantastic team, but I absolutely agree. The excitement is something we all share. And when we shared some of these things with the evaluators, they were also quite impressed and excited. So really happy to put it out and hopefully see how everyone responds to it. I think that our providers are going to find it very helpful. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm stoked. And I know before we get into kind of what exactly those changes are, I know that anytime we make changes, we kind of listen to the community. We also look at, we have at this point, 7 years of data points and, practices that have resulted in the standards that we work off of. So can you just tell us a little bit about what impacted some of the changes that we're about to talk about and kind of what's your process for determining the types of changes that need to be made to the standard set?
You're so very right. It takes a lot of time and energy and a lot of resources to involve all the different types of stakeholders that may be impacted by any change to any standard set, and then an accreditation that results from that. And we have been very fortunate to have been given the time and resources to meet with all of these different stakeholders and also gather their feedback. So the new standard sets based on some of the feedback the parent and family work groups have been giving us during our meetings with them. We have had lots of surveys from our customers that tell us what would be more helpful, what are our areas of strengths that they really would like for us to keep. We've had a series of discussions and focus group meetings with our evaluators that have provided a lot of fantastic feedback about the barriers that they have faced. And of course, our field is ever changing, so we're always revisiting our items. And we have an ANSI group that we have put together at BHCOE that's overseen by ANSI Commission. And so we are able to get a lot of direction from them. So all of these different stakeholders have provided us with feedback and have helped the shaping of the new standards.
Yeah. And the HCOE Commission, which is our kind of ANSI governing body, ANSI accredited governing body, that meeting is open to the public. So every meeting they have, any stakeholder can attend, and all of the public comments go through that group and are made public to anyone interested. So I just love that it's such a transparent process. And, our public comment period has to be open 45 days, and you can't just close it and then announce the standards. It takes almost a year to get through all those comments. And so it's been a very exciting time to see that come to fruition. And the first thing that I kind of wanted to just speak to before we get into the actual standards themselves is that one of the new features that are coming with the standards is a new digital gateway. And so I would love for you to share with all of us what that's going to look like and what that entails. And I say what that's going to look like, but what that looks like, because by the time everyone listens to this, we would have already launched this really exciting gateway.
Yeah, well, talk about a world where we're moving, more and more toward understanding how to utilize technology, how to leverage it to really make things easier for the people involved. One thing that's always difficult about any evaluation process or any audit is the, balancing between that transparency, how much information the person can get, and inundating it, how much they're feeling overwhelmed with all the amount of information that they're getting. The new gateway is just going to make life simpler for all of our individuals interested, seeking accreditation, or those coming back for reaccreditation. This was actually a part of the feedback we were getting from customers. They had difficulty with document uploads, and sometimes they had to upload the same documents repeatedly. Beautiful part of our new gateway is that they only have to upload a particular document once, and then throughout the process, they can refer back to that document or tell us that, something is in that same document, which really simplifies things for us and allows an archival process or for us to hold on to material as they become reaccredited, and it makes life easy for everyone involved. The other part of what I really love personally about the gateway system is it provides us with that opportunity to take anyone interested in accreditation through the process step by step. So they're able to be asked questions about their procedures, their staff, their training, and they're able to focus on that question and answer certain things that are about just that issue at hand, provide any documentation that comes with that. And that sort of not only increases that much more the transparency we've always had, an aim to provide, but it also decreases the effort the customer is going to feel, hopefully, on their end with getting so much information, transparent, but too much information, which can also be a problem. And that this gateway system will allow us to balance that beautifully. And I'm very excited about that.
Ellie, talk a little bit more, I think, about the reaccreditation, because I think that is where we got a lot of feedback from our accredited providers who, it was just really great to hear from them that they were frustrated with having to load the same documents in for their reaccreditation. And how is this going to make that easier for them?
I think the fact that we will be able to hold to documents they ask us to hold to will be huge for them. And the fact that we will be able to identify anything that's been revised within that time frame, when and if it has been revised, so that they don't have to redo the entirety of the material, will also be very helpful for them. In short, the keeping of documentation attached, secure, and only for that provider, with the provider being able to choose how to utilize it, is going to make life easy for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to be so great. And, the other thing, Ellie, I think about a lot with accreditation is that I think the myth that our accreditation is not conducive to smaller organizations. I think that we do actually more smaller organizations than larger organizations. And I think Sara talks about that a good bit, but I think this is also going to make this easier for smaller providers that maybe don't have extra staff or extra hands. I know everyone's dealing with that right now, with just trying to, leverage the capacity that they have. I think this is really going to help with that. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And you're 100% right. We're very, very aware of the fact that we are here to provide oversight and help and quality control, and to be able to distinguish and really elevate organizations that are working so hard to provide good service. And we realize that they are under so much pressure at the same time, with the ever-changing requirements of them, but also the workforce and the things that are going on within the workforce for them. So in every way, we try to make the process such that it's easier for them, so that we can have the verifications we need, so that we can definitely speak to the quality and, their adherence to best practice, but make it as easy as possible. The smaller organizations is a great point that you're bringing up, Anna, because obviously they have less resources. They don't have an entire person often that can just be devoted, for example, to a task like this. So, the new gateway system allows for them to actually get questions, and we have created a unique process for the smaller organizations And the exciting news is that in the past, we had, called these, different names, and we had tried to really help them come along the path in a different manner. And now we don't need to do any of that. Because of the gateway system, we're able to create a unique opportunity for what applies to an organization with less than 25 patients and not overburden them. And they're able to still obtain full accreditation, which will be exciting. The truth is, if I were to start up an organization and if I was really interested early in my organization development, much of your time and resources and energy is put in figuring out all your documents and just purely understanding how do you shape up and create systems that can create a good operational system for you. At the gateway, actually, through the questions and through answering and through going through the accreditation, will guide a smaller organization to be able to get all of that in order. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And Ellie, talk to me a little bit about the survey. So I know that a big part of our accreditation process is that we survey patients, we survey staff, and then we use a lot of those data that are returned to us to kind of benchmark providers and help them understand what's going on. So I know there's been some significant revisions to the surveys. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that's where the 7 years of data you were speaking about becomes very, very handy for us. So we utilize our wonderful data and analytics team led by Dr. David Cox to do deep dive analyses of the survey responses we're getting to really be able to tell which survey items are really helping us get toward and get further information, which survey items we could get rid of or are not written well. And so for some time, we've had to have more questions to be able to do that, because in the situation where you're not fully sure about the questions you're going to ask, the development of survey itself to do it well requires some trial and error with the population at hand. And now we have absolutely gained so much information about what's helpful, what do our patients respond better to, what items and how have we written it that really allows them to answer in a correct way with regards to their services. And as well as, when we talk with staff and we survey staff and the supervisory level staff. So for one thing, we are asking a lot less questions because we've been able to become a lot more focused. For another, the questions will align much more clearly now with each of the standards because we're able to, again, focus on the things that have given us the most for each of the standards. And so I think both of those are very exciting about our newer surveys.
Sorry, I was just thinking about that, Ellie, because we've talked so much about the family survey and how to improve that so that it's not overburdensome. And so for me as a parent myself, I think that's one of the areas where we have really done such an incredible job at BHCOE. And that's just always putting the family at the forefront of what we're doing. And I'm excited about that survey. And also, I think it's just so important for families to know that survey is helping to ensure that your provider is providing quality service to you and that your voice is heard. And so I think that piece and the changes that you've made are just really exciting for me, especially.
Yeah, I very much appreciate that. And it's feedback, again, we've gotten from parents, we've gotten feedback from our providers about either the length of the surveys or some of the questions. So we've definitely been listening. We're very good at listening to the community here at BHCOE.
And I think the other significant change, Ellie, that I think a lot of providers are excited about is that we're moving to a 2-year accreditation with an annual conformance. And if you've been with us historically, you know that we've had a 1-year, a 2-year, and a 3-year accreditation. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about how you came to that conclusion and kind of some of the rationale behind it. And I'm excited about it because I think it'll create a lot more equity across the different providers and make sure that the BHCOE brand, when a parent sees it, they just know they're accredited or they're not accredited, as opposed to, well, what level of accreditation they are. So from kind of the parent perspective, I'm excited about it. But I'm curious, Ellie, from kind of the compliance and, scientific perspective, why we made that shift.
I think you nailed it. One thing that is very important to us is when we think about the focus of accreditation, it is to take, and develop standards of best practice, and then to be able to look at organizations and for those who are adhering to those, to be able to elevate them, to be able to showcase them, to distinguish them and say, these are folks that are in fact doing these things. To do that, how we message that information is important to us. And the messaging around 1 to 2 to 3 years was unclear. We learned a lot from parents and staff that they didn't quite understand the differences between those. Those did not necessarily have meaning for them. From a scientific perspective, we went back to look to see if there are clear distinctions between these years of evaluation. And although we could identify why through our evaluation process they would have been at one versus another, the clear difference was between those in that 2-year mark. So we really felt that putting accreditation benchmark at that you are accredited and you can be accredited for 2 years made sense based on the scores and the years of experience we've had looking at accreditation. And then, I think the other thing that's become very clear to us is our field is ever changing. And even the development of, the diversity, equity, and inclusion standards, we were very much pioneers and leaders in putting those out with the standards when we put them out. I know there was a little bit of fear at the beginning when we did, but and it came mostly from the community at the time, but now everyone recognizes its importance is everywhere in literature and everywhere else. And I think that we have to recognize that we have to still stay with the ever-changing best practice. We have to keep on top of and make sure that we're reading and continuing to do that. And 3 years was just too long. We find ourselves really not able to outreach and look at things. And 3 years can be a lot of time to change things for organizations, particularly with scale up and other things that may be happening for them. So for all of those reasons, we thought the 2-year mark was really a good way to go.
I'm excited for the shift, especially because of the impact it'll have on the patients and their ability to kind of have faith in what it means for an organization to be accredited. Another piece that I was excited about is that in your webinar and kind of in the introductory guide, you talked about this component related to attestations and the idea there were certain documents that would no longer be required. And so I know that that's an area that a lot of providers ask us about is, why do you need this document and kind of what does it allow you to really understand about our business? And so, my understanding is there's going to be a reduced load of documents uploaded, and the ones that are uploaded are ones that are kind of core business documents or core organizational documents, and that there's some that have moved to an attestation format. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about the validity of using attestations. And then, how did you decide which documents were no longer necessary?
That is an excellent question. And I'm a visual person. So if you could see me here in the background and my hands are up because there was lots of good sources of information that we used. One was we looked back again at our, rich database of information and looked at documents we had been historically asking for to see if that served as a good verification point. We would know that from the scores and how much it impacted scores overall when it came to accreditations and the number of times potentially an organization may have been asked to revise or do anything with those. The other source of information we had was our customers' feedback with regards to where they found us most helpful. Our customers really told us that, when it came to their patient handbooks, patient intake information, getting to know their staff and organizing their policies and procedures, tightening those up so staff really understood expectations better were all areas that they felt we were strong in. So we knew what are some of the must keeps from that. So between being able to look at all of the data that we currently have and be able to also evaluate how many of those we've been asking for, but time and time again, it really results always in the past, for example, and it doesn't really provide us with much more information was very helpful. Or that this document we ask for, we always end up asking for additional information in these other ways was very helpful to learn. So we took all of that information, allowed us to really truncate or get much smaller list of documents we think we should have. It allows us to be much more in depth there. We also got feedback from customers, interestingly, that because we used to ask for so many documents, it made them feel like accreditation was much more just about their paperwork rather than service, which makes sense. Even though we obviously have very talented board certified behavior analysts with a lot of experience we take on as evaluators that we train and work with closely, even though they're spending a lot of their time looking at those best practice issues, when the number of things an organization is submitting is purely dauntingly just documents, it can overcast for them what the accreditation process may be. So all of that really told us, focus, get only documents that really are helpful for you to help these organizations progress with, and that really reveal best practice to begin with, and put the focus in the right places. So I hope I answered the question. I got super excited. My hands were everywhere there.
Ellie, I wanted to get your thoughts and your feedback. We know that our customers really appreciate and benefit from just all of the things we provide on the business side and the things that really help them complete audits and ensure they're in compliance with all the federal and state guidelines. But I want to talk about the clinical piece, because I know you get a lot of questions about that. And I know providers, really who are accredited are striving to provide the highest quality of service with best practice. And how are we helping them do that? And how has that changed with the new 2022 standards?
Yeah, I think we have definitely had a focus on best practice, both in the clinical administration and implementation of what any provider is doing, as well as in their operations and procedures, because those matter, in the clear expectations from families, clear expectations from staff, and also making sure that the day-to-day operations make sense for a business. Regards to the improvements we've made in that clinical area, is we're super excited to really create and move toward innovative work with our observations of the sessions. Historically, there's lots of literature on how do you carry out, discrimination training, or how do you carry out this specific type of teaching procedure. And although that's very helpful, we come from a very different perspective. We see individuals of all types, of all ages, being provided with all sorts of different types of services. And we've had to really go into the literature, utilize time with subject matter experts, and put a lot of time in developing and then looking at reliability and validity of a tool that will help us just across a session say, is quality behavior analytic work being done here? Also, this allows us to, which to me is very important, in my past life prior to BHCOE, working with organizations, it's from site to site, from office to office, it's so hard to know what's happening across them. And, being able to understand what's happening across your sites, being able to understand what's happening across your staff groups, it's very helpful. And that's an added bonus in this process.
Ellie, is there anything else that you think folks need to know about this new process? I'm so excited already, and I can't wait to start getting more feedback so we can work on our next iteration. Hopefully not for another couple of years, but...
Yeah, we are definitely here for the long run. There's lots of great things happening with this standard set, and I hope that I'm not forgetting all of them. Some of the things I want to do is to just give basic logistics. I know that folks listening to a podcast may be interested in starting with us soon, and I want to make sure that they know some of the very basic stats. And we have a webinar that details all of this and shows graphs and things, so I really recommend that as well. But the passing score for the accreditation has moved to 80%. It's really where we found that sweet spot to be, that really truly differentiated our organizations based on previous documents we were getting. And we feel comfortable with that because when a customer is going through the gateway journey, they're going to be asked questions, and then they're going to be asked to upload material to provide evidence of it. And the system will tell them if some of their answers and the things that they have done is actually not going to have them meet that standard. So they already will have been given an opportunity to reconsider, think, can they change things, put them into effect? Can they just make those changes if it's about a document and then upload a new document instead? So we definitely feel that 80% will be appropriate given the many prompts the system will give them. The other thing that I want to mention is that in the event that an organization does not become accredited and needs to go through the process, we've changed it such that they can do that in 90 days. A lot of that, again, is because we looked back at our existing organizations, the work we've done with the gateway, and we feel that that's enough time to be able to implement something and have some results from that implementation to be able to reapply. So we're excited about that as well. Feel that organizations will be able to do this much faster this time around and much more guided. We also have created information packets so that they can hold that in hand and be able to kind of review things and pre-prepare for anything that they want to take care of. And of course, as always, one very valuable thing we offer here at BHCOE that I'm sometimes shocked to hear people don't know about is we have a compliance department where, we can go through appeals. So anything that was done through accreditation, if for any reason anyone feels that something was not done correctly or that there was any reason for them to feel that they want that to be redone, they can always appeal. We have a great compliance system in place as well. That helps us with many things, including this.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I think it's just really going to help organizations, be able to get their accreditation and get it sooner. And those that really need more support and need more time, the resources are there to put their organization where it needs to be from a quality standpoint. So it's very exciting.
I agree. And I think the goal of today is to really just give everyone like high level cliff notes of some of those changes. But if you do go on our website, there is a dedicated page that kind of outlines these changes in detail. Ellie has graciously put together a webinar. We have a crosswalk. We have so many resources. So if you've been thinking about going through the process and are trying to understand it a bit better, there's a lot of resources on our website that you can access.
Yeah, and I think, there's also wonderful work that the team has been doing in value-based pay models. I'm really excited about the accreditation process because it prepares individuals and so much of the work will already be done by them toward any such system. So, I know that the specifics of that are very difficult to outline, but I think, you, Sara, and Anna have been working really hard so that we can speak up for behavior analysis and make sure we're not left behind in this next movement in our field. And as we're doing that, I can't help but to realize how much our accreditation sets people up for success for that.
Ellie, thanks so much for coming on and sharing the updates to our 2022 standards. It's always fun to chat with you, and I really hope we can get together soon in person again, but really great having you on today.
Ellie, before we wrap, any fun weekend plans? We're recording on a Friday, so.
So much pressure. I won't lie, my husband and I are newlyweds and we're trying to explore new things. And we did staycation, they call it, last weekend. And that was really fun. We got to see some things in LA. And this weekend, we promised to camp in our own backyard. So that's what we're going to do.
That is just so adorable. And so what newlyweds do. Anna, you've been married for forever. Are you and your husband doing that?
Let me just say, me and my husband camped one time, and that was a big mistake, and I hated it, and we've never camped since. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I prefer to stay in a hotel. But you may love it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I've not done it enough, I think, in my life. So this is new and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I can't wait to hear how that goes. That sounds very romantic and sweet. So I hope you can roast some marshmallows.
That's it for today's episode of The Skinner Report. By allowing yourself to be inspired and educated through this podcast, you are now one step closer to growing, building, or starting your own ABA practice that can impact the behavioral landscape. Continue nourishing your heart and mind right here by listening to more of our episodes at BHCOE.org. Be sure to subscribe to the show and leave a positive rating. Let us make the ABA scene safer, more caring, and more connected than ever before. Thank you for joining us. See you on the next one.